So now we are sitting on the motorcycle. We're realizing the seat feels a little bit, the seat feels a little bit narrow. And there's this huge fairing in front of you. And they've built a tower to sort of mimic the Dakar thing. But what it does is they puts the screen up really high and they tilt the screen back. And the idea being you stand up, you sit down, the view is pretty clear.
As in you can change the angle?
No, it's just tilted up like this, just enough. But this is a bonded LCD screen, which means there is no air gap between the screen itself and the glass layer. So therefore, it will not have condensation issues, glare is minimized, etc. KTM's international website refers to a polarizing coating that also cuts glare. The India documentation doesn't have it. But since they make one motorcycle for the world, I'm assuming we also get that coating for what it's worth. The GPS mount used to be very useful on the old model. On this one, it is not obvious, but there is a clip-on plate behind the screen which you can remove and you'll find 2 threaded screws there. And I think that's your option for mounting a GPS or a navigation device or whatever, which will now appear above the screen. And the screen is so tall that the cutout in the screen is just above this. It's a really tall screen. It's a really good screen, but it's a really tall screen, right? So, narrow motorcycle, not a tall motorcycle, reasonably wide handlebars, not stupidly wide or dirt bike wide. This view. And then you go this, hey, where's the weight?
All right.
It doesn't have a sense of weight.
Nice.
Not at standstill, not on the move does it have a sense of weight.
Awesome.
And I know this is not going to sound complimentary, but this is what it felt like, so I'm going to say it again. If you're on MotorInc circles, you know I've already said this. After a while, I started thinking, this feels like a tall Duke. And the tall Duke was a derogatory reference to the previous adventure. I'm just referring to how the motorcycle feels in terms of weight. It feels like a tall Duke. It has no more complication than that to ride. It feels weightless. It's easy to pilot. No issues at all.
Okay. You said the screen is tall and you are tall. So it didn't get, I'm guessing it didn't get into your field of view.
It didn't get my field.
But for somebody like me,
it didn't get in the field of view. It didn't do any buffeting. I am going to assume that most of us will be okay. For some of us, the screen, especially I think if you're 5'4", the screen might actually be right in front of your eyes. And for those specific heights, they will have to work out a alternative, because as of today, there is no alternative to this screen. KTM doesn't make a higher or taller or lower version of this. This is what it is. I'm sure aftermarket will come with other versions of this. So this screen, it works. So out on the highway, I didn't have any basic issues from the screen at all. Is your ventilation cut off by the fact that this is a massive screen? It reduces your ventilation for sure. Does it reduce it to the point where I thought, oh my God, this is just horrible?
You're getting stuffy.
No. The highest temperature I saw on this ride was 36 degrees plus. I didn't have a feeling that it was the ventilation that was causing me to be uncomfortable. We are okay.
And buffeting?
Zero.
Nothing. Awesome.
Zero. There's a massive cutout in it. It solves. And I tested this motorcycle with a regular full face helmet, the orange one, and my peaked helmet, which is an ADV helmet, not a motocross helmet. No buffeting on either, both on highways, both in crosswinds, no stress. So, no issues are coming from these things.
Now rewind. Pick the bike up.
It's not going to sound awesome, and it's not going to feel smooth.
So none of the Dukes have ever sounded good, but is it
This
worse?
engine sounds a little bit more metallic than even that. So I'm going to clearly tell you, there are moments and revs at which this bike can feel nice in your ear. When you approach the red line, does it have that weird KTM-y note that makes you feel like, oh, we're doing so much? Yes, it does. But will you fundamentally think that, wow, this is a nice sounding bike? No, I don't think you are. And I don't think that's an automatic issue, but I'm just setting your expectation. It's not.
But the smoothness angle?
It's smooth in the right places at the right speeds, but it is not what I can call a smooth engine.
This is like the ulta of the
it is the ulta of the Himalayan in some way. It is. You're absolutely right. Okay, see, here's what happens on the Himalayan. The Himalayan starts off smooth with a lot of torque. And then as you hit the highway pace, the vibration starts to build up. And if you want to push harder than that, you can. The engine is actually quite happy to do it, but you have to deal with vibration in the process. Correct? This bike is almost exactly the opposite of this. This is a very tractable engine, but this is not an engine where you say, my God, so much torque off the bottom. No, it will never die. You'll get down to 30 kmph in third and fourth and make the connection saying, hey, it's actually pretty tractable. It's not a bad thing. But will you think of this as, wow, so torquey, I can sit at 2000 RPM all day? No, you're not going to think that. It really wakes up at 5500 RPM. And from about 55 to about 6.5, 7, it stays smooth enough. So highway speeds, 80 to 120, settle down, everything is in its place, smooth.
Awesome.
Above that, that urgency, that little bit of vibration and all of that appears. Somehow KTM pulls this off where all of this totals up to something other than strain, whereas when Triumph does this, it feels like strain. So it doesn't feel strained above this, it feels like, yes, now, let's go. And it has that urgency, but it is still controlled, not like the Duke at all. So again, I know that this sounds confusing. It will never feel like a smooth engine. And the primary reason is there's a feeling inside that it's just not feeling clean. You can't really put your finger on it. The biggest thing that vibrates is your foot peg. It's not the tank, it's not the seat, it's not the handlebar.
So the way you're describing it is that now you can sit and travel with it at highway speeds, but it's still not zen-like at that.
Between 80 to 120, it is very much in the zone.
Okay.
Close enough to zen.
Okay.
Like, I didn't think about what speed I was doing as long as I was between these speeds on the highway, and I'm talking about ghat sections going up, down. As long as I stayed between 5 and everything was okay. When I'm overtaking something and you go from 7 to 9,000 RPM or whatever, then you're like, oh wow, it's fast. But in that speed zone, it doesn't tell you it is fast. It is just very calm and very purposeful about it, saying, okay, we will go quick.
Since this is the bike to travel in, and one of the reasons why, I mean, as much as he loves the Multistrada, until the V4, the Multistrada was not a bike for me, was because it was a one mood bike. Like it wanted to travel, but it wanted to travel quickly. Whereas what I want when I'm traveling is that the bike does its thing, lets me do my thing, which is take in the scenery.
Yes. So I'll give you this as context. Everybody who rode the Himalayan and the 390 Adventure back to back in the office thought that the 390 was smoother overall.
Okay.
Overall.
Okay.
But when I put 300 kilometers on the motorcycles back to back, the Himalayan smooth up to a point and then the story goes sideways.
He's got too much context.
The KTM starts out with some amount of vibration constantly, and suddenly you discover that at the highway there is no vibration to deal with.
Okay.
At highway speeds. Above that there is a sense of urgency to it, not strain. Below that there's a sense of, I just wish it was a little cleaner.
Okay.
But there's no fundamental issue.
So you can chill out on it.
So in hindsight, okay, I'm saying hindsight because I've got 1200 kilometers on this bike and I've got 8000 kilometers on 4 Himalayans so far. In both these cases, I don't think of vibration as my primary issue at all.
No, this is nothing to do with vibration. It's to do with the amalgamation of all the factors, like whether...
I would love to have this bike on a highway.
Okay.
I've been told I'm too jocular in these calls to action, so I have to be very serious about this. So I'm glad you enjoyed this clip. I hope you've liked, I hope you've shared, I hope you've subscribed. And what I'm hoping for is now you'll come to our main channel, MotorInc. This video is a clip from one of our much longer videos where we discuss this idea in great detail. Come and watch it there with us, and then you'll find me there on the other side asking you for more likes, shares, and subscribes there. Oh no, I'm supposed to be serious. Apologies.